Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. Your boy Road Dogg here with the man himself, the guy that's on top of that hill, King Karl Bryan. Sir.
There you go. Road Dogg, how goes it, my man? Good to have you here, bud.
It's going well, Shoots. How you doing?
Doing great, buddy. Sunny shining in the summer here, bud. But all right. Had the Sea-Doo out yesterday, cruising around, doing my thing on the Sea-Doo, which I love to do.
See, this is the difference between you and me here, Big Shoots, is that where I the clouds haven't lifted yet. I guess you're above the clouds on top of that mountain. This is the difference, folks. This is how King operates. You know, I was lucky enough to have him put the drawbridge down for a visit on the weekend. So I'm very excited.
We did do that. All right, man. What do you got for me today, buddy?
All right.
Some questions lined up?
I've got some real beauties here, right? This is actually, I think I actually asked you this casually a couple of weeks ago, so it's kind of awesome that somebody else is just as smart as I am. So that's a beauty right there. It says, Karl, was there a moment when it all just clicked for you? I love this question.
There you go. And Road Dogg, nobody is as smart as you, to be clear, before I start answering this. We know that. My boy Road Dogg. My beer drinking bud for the weekends. Okay, so moment it all clicked. I think, again, you know, like you said, Road Dogg, we literally talked about this not long ago, but it's not really a moment. You know what I mean? I really want you to find, you want to fall in love with the process, right? It's not like something's just going to magically happen and then all of a sudden you're going to click. Although my dad does say that he remembers when, we were like, he literally remembers a conversation. He's like, I remember when it all shifted for you, right? And I would just say, when you say shifted, what he's saying is like, I really went from, trying to make a lot of money and, yada, more significance kind of driven, if you know that from the Tony Robbins world, thinking, big houses and cool cars and that sort of stuff. But I shifted to all of a sudden success. So, and really, I would just say that if you want to shift, I think the reason somebody's asking this is they're asking on behalf of themselves, like, how do I go about finding that moment? Like, how do I get there? What you need to do is you got to go from trying to fill the bank account and build a big coaching business in the instance, like, we're all business coaches, right? And you just got to build the best thing. Like, that's it. Like Michael Jordan, if you watch, the documentary on him, you'll see that he gets constantly asked a similar question. When was the moment? And then it's asked like 10, 15 different ways. And he always answers the same. And it's like, you got to fall in love with the game. And that's what Michael Jordan did. He fell in love with the game and became the greatest basketball player of all time, or debatably or whatever, but obviously became, an absolute, icon that's going to live, on for many years, post his own life. And I think that's success on steroids. So falling in love with the game. Have you fallen in love with your coaching? Have you fallen in love with your clients? Have you fallen in love with finding problems? Remember, I always talk about, don't look for ideas. Horrific idea. You got to look for problems. You got to change your spidey senses to go problem, right? So have you fallen in love with finding problems? And then secondarily, finding the solutions to those problems. But I'll tell you, when you really drill down and identify the problem properly, the answer almost comes immediately, like as in the solution. So do have faith with that. So the moment, actually, and I would tell you this too, Road Dogg, I think this is important, but, building, in fact, in my own personal journey, I can tell you that this is where I'm at. And it's been, well and truly a journey. I've been hiring staff for a long time, but I have come to the conclusion, I I think that's poorly worded, but where I'm at is like building a team is absolutely what I'm trying to do is put people around me that are proven winners, not A players, but A plus players, absolute superstars, because one superstar, remember this guys, and remember this on behalf of your clients, one superstar staff member, okay, is worth, I'm going to arbitrarily going to throw out 10 employees, but I really believe that when you get one superstar that rocks the house, they are as good as 10 employees. Okay. So in other words, go hire somebody. And then there's a saying on the other side of it that you get what you deserve. And if you're new to coaching or your client is somewhat new to business, don't expect their first hire to be that absolute superstar. That being said, why not? I'm not saying that it won't be, but oftentimes you won't get that superstar because quite frankly, you're not ready for them. But I think that's powerful to understand that that's the reality, right? Is that one rock star will crush it. So I don't know. And then the moment, and if I were just to encapsulate that, again, don't look for the moment, fall in love with the journey. And then if you want me to maybe articulate, okay, what's that journey? If you're a new coach, trying to quote unquote crush it, just do my old program where I used to coach you back in the days, well over a decade ago. I had a rule that you had to make, if you were starting out, if you were at that stage of business, you had to make 10 phone calls before 10. Like that's it. So if you wake up and phone 10 people every single day before 10 a.m., which is incredibly difficult, by the way, but that's part of the magic because it's going to push you. That the moment, there won't be a moment, but all of a sudden people will be asking you that question. When was the moment? Why? Because you'll be one of those people that crushed it with your coaching company. So Road Dog, I don't know if that's the right answer, but I just answer it in that way that there's not really a moment, but accept it to be a journey or a process. And the more you fall in love with it, a la Michael Jordan, the further you're going to get. So there you go. That's my answer.
It's got to be the right answer. It came from the king. So I'm not sure what.
That's right. Exactly. It's part of the show. It's my show, Road Dog. That's it, man. Whatever I say goes. So that's the moment. Let's go with that, buddy.
The Karl show that was supposed to be the Road Dog show, which became the Karl show. It's your show, bro. So I'm just here for my pretty face and that no one gets to see because, of course, Karl has yet to find a beer that he hasn't fallen in love with. So there's that. Ain't that right, Shoots?
That is right, Shoots. Let's go.
There it is. He's a handsome man, ladies and gentlemen, but he is taken, and Tammy will fight you for him. So anyways, all right, here's this. I'm not sure if this is relevant, but I'm going to throw it out there because somebody asked it, and that's how we play the game. We play it with a game of integrity. So there you go. Somebody put in here, I read your email, so thank you for that, by the way. Thanks, Mom. About Apple stock and Google. Where are you investing right now? I think it's a fair question. Where are you investing right now in Big
There you go. Good question. I think this might come from when I said earlier, I don't know when that was, like a few podcasts ago, but stocks are on sale, real estate's on, like when there's, depressed, a recession, depressed times, everything goes on sale. But again, what does Warren Buffett say? When they get fearful, you get greedy. When they get greedy, you get fearful. So I think this, and then, so what consistent with what I just said a minute ago, people are also on sale. So what you're going to find is that A+ player that I just described, is on sale. So again, I'm investing in my own business, frankly, but I think, first of all, look, somebody's asking this question. Don't invest in something you don't know. The end. If you don't understand it, you got to learn it. That being said, don't be fearful of it. Example, you're walking at nighttime and there's a thick rope and you see it. What do you think it is? You think it's a snake. You jump, you run back inside, you tell your husband, you tell your wife, oh my God, I just saw a snake. I just jumped over it, whatever. You walk back out in the morning and guess what? It was just a thick rope. Well, you go out the next night and you see it and you know that it's a rope. You're not going to be fearful of it. So this is where you got to make sure that you've got to go and learn this stuff. And then what I sent out as far as like an email, just Apple, like I personally believe, and this is my own belief, and I am not the right person to ask and do your own homework, right? But I believe that Google will be the first, we'll call them unicorn or whatever, the big five, the first company that's going to get broken up. If you really think about the world, if you look at the bigger picture, if you look at the entire playing field, I mean, Google, you just don't want trillion and then certainly multiple. And if they go to trillion, believe me, they'll go to multiple trillion in, short order. You just don't want that. So I believe that they will be broken up, and that when Google does get broken up, or if it does get broken up, and I believe that it will, and I believe that it won't be happening in too long, and do your own homework here. That's not going to be good for the share price. And then on Apple, basically what they're doing is like nobody wants to own one or two of anything, right? So Apple trades, as I chat here, it's roughly $400 a share, right? Well, nobody wants to go. So really what they are priced for the institutional investor, for the expert, right? Well, what they really want, and if you think about the times that we're in, and in my opinion, right, the stock market's going to take a little bit of a hit. In fact, no, let me word this differently. In fact, I'm not going to give you stats, but I can tell you that last month and the month before, there were more people signed up for, online trading accounts than they did in the previous year. Okay. And that's so in 30 days, and then it happened again the next 30 days. So that'll give you an idea. So who's coming in, those are beginners. Is Apple priced for them? And the answer is absolutely not. So what they're doing is they're basically, they're now positioning themselves to basically be in a position to win from those guys. So because you can buy 4 Apple stocks instead of just 1 Apple stock, does that make it a better deal? It appears as so, but that's not necessarily the case. So anyway, so that's what I wrote about. Go back and read the emails. Like Road Dog said, I don't know that here's, when I'm talking about investing, I talk about my business, but actually on that note, here's something that I think you should be aware of. Like, so Apple right now, if you look at them, basically what they're doing is they're buying back stock like crazy, right? Well, what are they doing? They're using borrowed money that they're getting at super low interest rates. So the stock so what happens when they do that, there's a lot of trade, a lot of people buying up their stock. So what happens? It's going up, right? But why is it going up? Because this is financial engineering. This is not the reason Apple got to where it's at is because they're building iPhones and then better iPhones. And then they're building the iWatch and they're building a better one. They built the iPod and everything else that they're building, right? Well, basically, they're not doing that. So that means that innovation is not driving their share price. Basically, financial engineering is, right? And then I said a second ago, like they're basically borrowing. So Apple is raising debt by basically issuing bonds, right? The Fed prints money to basically buy those bonds. And then Apple uses that inexpensive, they're not even using their own money, and if you understand Apple, they've got more money than they could ever spend in a million years. They're not even using their own money. They're basically getting money from the Fed. They're printing it, buying back their own, using that inexpensive money to buy back their own shares. And again, this is then raising the stock price, right? So in essence, the Fed is facilitating a share repurchase of Apple stock by Apple, right? Ask yourself this question. Does Apple need stimulus right now, right? Don't worry about which you should worry about lowering your taxes, right? By absolute, but rather than spending your time there, what I just described, I would refer to as corporate warfare, right? We have got to stop that. It is nothing short of robbery. It's a transfer of wealth from the earners and the savers, like those guys that you right now, as I speak to you, to asset owners, which would be Apple, right? And so you guys have heard me talk about incentives being the solution to the world. Like incentives, the entire world is driven by incentive. You are driven by incentives. I am driven by incentives. The entire world is. Well, what's happening is financial engineering is being rewarded instead of innovation. Okay. And then if you look at the entire playing field and you understand, and I encourage you to do this, if there's anything you want to do, it is to understand, or teach yourself to look at the entire playing field. No doubt you know what I mean. If you haven't heard me talk about it before, if I'm playing hockey, I can't watch the puck. I have to think of where it's about to go, right? That's why Bill Belichick is Bill Belichick, because he thinks better than the other coaches and the other players and the other teams, right? Well, have a look at what Asia's doing right now. As we're sitting here talking about flat Earth and Trump and that sort of stuff on this side of the world, Asia's working on artificial intelligence. Okay. And if you understand artificial intelligence, like the internet clearly changed, the playing field for all of us big time. Well, if you think the internet changed it, wait till you see what artificial intelligence is going to do over the next 10 years. Right. So instead of farting around and having, arguments about our, our prime ministers and our presidents and our leaders and our this, that, and the other, understanding artificial intelligence and machine learning at a high level would be about a million times better thing to do. So a little bit off topic there, Road Dog, but let me just encapsulate all this, guys. You want to invest. When you invest in the look, if you get a 5, 8, if you get a 10% return, you're doing really well. Well, when I go and build software, I hire an employee for my company. If I don't get 100% return on that money over the long haul, it was like a ridiculously horrific investment. That before you go and take your money and put it into the stock market, because that's the done thing, I would go and hire a staff member. That's what I'd be doing. If you don't have a coach that works for you, go and hire one. If you don't have a virtual assistant that's working for you, go hire one. I have a program where you build a team of 10 coaches. Again, killer program. I got lots of guys that are super, super successful with it. Go and invest in that or whatever. But the bottom line is go invest in your company as opposed to, worrying and Apple, whether I should have put that in emails or I shouldn't have, who knows. But that, I just want to make sure I keep everybody on track here, Road Dog, and worrying about the stock market when you've got your own company. Like think of this way. Stock market is for staff members, for guys that go make 150 grand a year, and there's really nothing they could do over 12 months to influence that money, right? If you have your own business, go invest in your own business. This is where, you should be investing your business. But a great example I love to give is like the local family. The local business owner will take his family to the movies on the weekend, drop 400, like $200, $300, $400, whatever the number is, right? But let's just say it's a big night and they're going to go to the, maybe dinner as well. Well, take that $400 and invest it in advertising and find a way to basically take that, the dollars that, the money that you spend on advertising and turn that into profit. Again, if you guys have followed me in any way, you've heard this, that, advertising to profit is a superpower, right? When you learn how to do that, you put on a cape, right? Like, again, you read my emails, I don't do joint ventures. I don't do partnerships, etc. I take advertising and turning into money. And that's no way saying I'm not going to do it in the future and that I'm 100% and that you guys should be following my lead. I'm just giving you my own world. The reason I'm able to take that stand, the reason I'm able to do that is instead of going to the movies and spending $400, I went and spent $400 in my own business. And then I used, again, feedback loop. We've talked about that before, but if I take the 400 and I turn it into 1,000, instead of going to buy something with the 1,000, something cool, I take the 1,000 and I feed it back into my company. And now I've got $1,000 to spend on advertising. Do you know what I mean? So I've got a feedback loop I'm constantly coming back with. You want to be thinking that. And by the way, your coaching clients need to be thinking the same. So basically, guys, spending, create a feedback loop, spend money on your own business. So the stock market, I want you to think of that's more for, and again, this is not a black and white statement, right, Road Dog? And you've got a long history in the financial world. That's not to say that you don't invest in the stock market. And I'm not saying it's a black and white no, but do not invest in the stock market before you invest in your own company. And if I say that, you go, wow, that makes a lot of sense. That means that you're probably the person that really needs to invest in their own business. Like if you introduce me to somebody who's like meditation is really difficult for them, I'm going to introduce you to somebody who's going to really benefit from meditation, right? Because it's the person that it's so difficult for that really needs it, right? Well, the person who, I say this and they go, gee, you know what? I'm not spending money on advertising, currently. You're the person that's going to be able to benefit madly from advertising. And by the way, I say all this, make sure that you're taking this one step further and thinking about your clients and helping them do the same and managing their psychology. So there you go, Road Dog. Maybe a little bit somewhat off track, but all good, bud. That's how I'd answer that one, bud.
So what the hell kind of movie theaters are you going to? We were spending $400. Like, it's like
a really good theater, man. Like an amazing.
Oh my goodness gracious! And by the way, folks, when Karl says people are for sale, like this is just let's keep in mind we're not saying human trafficking or anything here. But,
oh my god! Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not.
All right, just wanted to make sure. You never know. Everyone's got their shtick. That's definitely not ours. So don't buy people. Anyways.
Okay. Thank you, Road Dog, for clearing that up. Bud. You might have just saved me.
The the doors
Commotion.
that you sometimes leave open, it's like, why? It's like walking around my house. It's like, why are all these lights on? Like, what's happening? Anyway. All right, moving right along to the next one. This is great. Again, this kind of falls right in line with kind of what we're talking about here. But how important is routine for a business owner you're coaching? I think this is perfect because like routine is everything. And if you get a chance, like I'd
Yeah.
love to hear your opinion just in terms of general, but also maybe your routine. But first off, how important is routine for a business owner that you're coaching?
Yeah. Oh, I agree, Road Dog. High five. Great question. And that's like what I was saying earlier, like versus, you want to fall in love. It's not the moment, it's the journey. And then you go, okay, well, how do I make a cool journey? Habits and rituals. Like habits and rituals are just, to say that they're critical would be understatement of the year. Like when have you ever noticed that public speakers are broke with ridiculous predictability? Okay, well, I'll tell you why. Because they spend all their time traveling. Like, I would come and speak on your stage for free. Okay, what you'd have to pay me big bickies to do is to pack my bag, go to the airport, get strip searched, keep going, get on the plane, land, get on another plane, fart around. Like, that's what you got to pay me for is the travel, right? Getting up on stage is like amazing. But so guys who are like public speakers who are, traveling all over the world, they're totally inefficient because how could you possibly have a routine? Because, the flight is delayed, the flight is late. There's, people, you can't have meaningful conversations and whatnot. And you certainly, you can't sit down and write a series of emails. Of course you can, but you're going to get, you certainly can't expect it to be a routine. You know what I mean? On an off note, but I suppose very relevant here. Like when my wife and I, like when we go on a holiday, my wife knows this, like there's, very few exceptions that I will allow. But if we go on a holiday, it has to be one flight. That's my rule, right? Like I am not going anywhere where we have a connection. Otherwise, it just like, it's not happening. So she knows when she's looking for a, like holiday destination or whatever, that we're just taking one. And for that exact reason, I just know how inefficient it is. And if I have to spend an extra 2 to 3 hours on a connecting flight, and on the way back, I presume it's another 3 hours. Well, that's 6 hours, and that's the bulk of one day that I could be holidaying, right? So maybe anyway. So, rituals. Look, here's a hack for you. Here's a hack. Maybe I'll word this differently. Okay, you've got like a massive bowl, okay, and you want to fill it with rocks, okay. And I've seen a demonstration. You might recognize this. I think it might have been done on Oprah or something like that. Can't remember. Really doesn't matter. You got a massive bowl, and then what you do is you take little rocks and you put them in. So what you're going to do is fill this bowl with rocks, right? So you put all the little rocks in, and then you get all those in, and then you put the medium rocks, and then you go take the big rocks. Guess what? The big rock doesn't fit, okay? Versus you change your approach. You put the big rocks in, then you put the medium rocks in, and then you put the little rocks in, and guess what? They all fit, right? So metaphor for what? Basically, what you want to do is you want to get your big rocks done. And as part of your ritual and your habit, you want to get them done in the morning, right? So as an example, like working out, get that done. You always hear that it's important to do that stuff in the morning. Well, that's the reason why. You want to do your prospecting calls, again, 10 before 10. There's a reason why. You got to have like an uncomfortable conversation with your staff member, what have you. This is the time to do it. You'll notice like my email will always come to you in the morning, right? By accident? Absolutely not. In fact, when I did traditional internet marketing back in the day, when I was, basically putting hundreds of members into my $97 a month membership sites, what I found is after 9 a.m., nobody bought. Like it was crazy, right? So basically they got the email, they buy in the morning. If the email came out later in the day, those guys didn't buy. And of course, that's a black and white. I mean, it wasn't that black and white, but it was pretty damn close. Like when I do a boot camp, or we'll call it like a local live event, the best time is normally 7 a.m. start, not 7 a.m. start time, by the way. Boom. They can come in. I can give them 2 hours. It's only 9 o'clock. It's over. They're back to work. Hardly missed anything and ready to rock and roll. But more to the point, I've got a higher level of their attention in the morning. That being said, you should also do your homework on where you live because there is some exceptions to that. But generally speaking, if you want a black and white rule, you're going to find that, doing your events in the morning, you're going to have not only a higher turn up rate, but a higher conversion because they're operating at a higher level in the morning. So I guess what I'm saying, Road Dog, is just, for routine and habit, it's important. But not only is it important, it's understanding at different times of day, right? Like I used to be a night owl, big time. Like my wife and I used to both be night owls. I mean, I used to get the amount of work that I would get done between, say, 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. just blow your mind. I mean, I would just get to work and I was just totally dialed in. But, as you get a little bit older, I don't know, sufferance, what it is, but it's just what I had to do, So ritual, and another thing actually you'll find like a fixed location. Like here's my question for you as you're listening. Like I mentioned like the public speaker, right? Like again, he's just challenged. And to be honest with you, they probably don't even realize why, they're not making any money and why it's not all working, right? And I guess that's tell you that their travel schedule basically prohibits them from really get anything efficient done. So on the opposite side of that, if you've got somebody with a fixed location, with very little travel, with forget that. The most successful people in the world, the Bezos, the Zuckerbergs, the Jobs, etc., very little travel. They'd have the same opinion that I have, where they do as little of it as possible, and they've got a fixed location. Or even like think about your coaching. I'll meet an old school coach who tells me all the time, "Oh, I need to, I need to do my coaching live. I've got to be there, right?" And it's just like, oh Lordy, think about this, like. If you do live coaching, you could probably get 4 appointments done in a day because you need to drive, you need to come in. It's a kiss on the cheek or it's the shoulder, the handshake and the shoulder bump. That's when we could touch actually, but nowadays it'll be a little different, but whatever. They got to get you a coffee, whatever. You do 4 and then you got to get back in your car and you got to pay for the parking and you got to toot around. So basically you get 4 live meetings done. Well, if you're stuck if you're in your office in a fixed location, you could get 8 appointments done easily, if not more. So think about it. You could charge half as much and make the same amount of money, or you could charge the same amount and earn twice as much money, right? Because again, you're just got much more. Your routine, your ability to perform is just at a significantly higher level. So anyway, it's just routine. It's something people should absolutely be concentrating on. And maybe what's also like the universal principle comes to mind, like where life is a mirror, right? Like if you don't pay, they don't pay you. You're negative, you're going to attract negative people. You're fun, you're going to bring out fun. You're going to bring fun people into your world, right? So, you want to when you go to buy something, you want to think about it. They're going to want to think about it. Those are the people that, and again, this isn't my opinion. This isn't things that I've noticed. Like this is like a universal principle that you just literally can't get away from, right? The same way when you empty your fridge and then you go to it, oh my God, there's nothing in the fridge. And then you go back to your fridge in 30 days and guess what? Your fridge is full. This is a universal principle. This is not you. It's not your fridge. It's not your buying habit. It's just the way it is, right? So I think that, as far as your routine, like, if you're judgmental, as an example, like people who struggle to pick up the phone and phone people, a big part of that is because they're judging other people. So therefore they feel like they're going to be judged, right? So if you drop the judgment within yourself, you're no longer going to be fearful of being judged and you're going to be able to pick up the phone. Like literally like Road Dog, it will happen, like that systematically. And you got to stop thinking, if you like, what do people think to themselves? Like when I lose weight, it's, I'm going to feel better. Or when I start making more money, I'm going to feel better. When I get more coaching clients, I'm going to feel better. When I finally find a partner, my soulmate, I'm going to feel better. If I take that vacation, I get to Mexico and I get a suntan, if I can finally get away, I'm going to feel better, right? No. Look, your life's going to get better when you stop the judgment, the comparison, the complaining, right? Like again, and by the way, this is all part of, in my opinion, like this is your routine, right? That same, that judgment, that negative negative take on things, right? Like these are the types of people you're going to bring into your world, right? So you just got to, work on becoming more and sometimes becoming less is the best way to do that. So drop all of that crap and all of a sudden life's going to become a lot more easier. So Road Dog, yeah, routine, absolutely stinking critical. And I think that, Yeah, that's a great question, and I think it's something people should spend some time on. In your routine, and my routine, and their routine, there could be a different ideal one, but yeah, it's a great question. I would spend some time on what I'm describing there for sure. Get it drilled in and spend some time on it. So there you go, Red Dog.
Beauty. A little bit more of a. Okay, so this is an interesting question because so I'll just ask the question first. I'm working with a company and feel the leader needs to step down. Ever seen a situation like that? And any advice? Like, wow, like that is a tough one. I'm curious to hear what you think on that, but that's always tough, right? Because there's probably a lot of ego in play here. But what's your take on that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, find a new client. How's that sound? It's going to be a battle. But I don't know. So, look, the leader is critical. That's for damn sure. Look, here's a good question. Go to a leader and just ask them this. Say, what does your business do? What does the business do? What's the meaning behind what this business fulfills, right? And like, actually, there's a famous story about Boeing. They had a CEO for a long time. They've obviously gone, billion-dollar company, super successful. And like their game plan was simple, which again, the best companies in the world always have a simple game plan. It was to build the world's best airplane. And I might be wording that wrong, but pretty straightforward. That was their goal, was to build the world's best airplane. And again, they're doing billions of dollars, et cetera. This new leader, quote unquote, or the new CEO. So one guy moved out, another guy comes in, and then he basically changed, he changed the game plan. And again, I can't quite remember. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's going to be something to the effect of increasing the share price and about being fiscally responsible and being super efficient, right? Like it was all about that. Well, I just want you to picture flushing a toilet, okay, watching the bowl go around and around and around. And basically that's exactly what the business did, right? They came away from what was really simple. And look, it's like what I talked about earlier with Michael Jordan, right? And just concentrating on the thing instead of, falling in love with the game, as opposed to, being fiscally responsible. Like, my God, puke in my mouth. In fact, and I fell victim to this. I remember I got franchised my own company, and I remember I announced my national training director. His name was Ron Smith. Anyway, so I announced the national training director, and I've looked at this actually press release at different times, and I got to throw up in my mouth when I read it. But it was like about maximizing stakeholder value creation, blah blah blah, right? Like, because my franchisees, I wanted them to buy the franchisees, like, it were $45,000 at a general level, and then it went up to over $500,000. Story for maybe another day. But what I wanted to do, and I thought I was doing the right thing, and it all came from a very pure and genuine place, but like, I wanted those $45,000 franchises to become worth $80,000. So if they wanted to sell them, that's what would happen. And that's what they wanted, by the way. But, through all of that, I think I got away, quote unquote, from the thing, and it just wasn't, and I had to, take a bit of a, check myself and realize, God dang, you know what I mean? I can't get away. Our job is to come up with the best, the best small business program, the best coaches, the best training for the coaches, the best lead generation for the coaches, et cetera. So, at business, and again, so when you ask that business owner, remember, it's like, what does the business do? When they start waffling on about, the funnel, looking at their communication, which is a huge one, and that could be a rabbit hole we could go down, but gosh, communication, this is one that people screw up at a ridiculous level, or they're looking at their website or, their lead generation, whatever. Like, this is when you probably have a problem, right? And what do they need to do? Like, the bottom line, the leader needs to be, totally drilled in on the problem that they solve. So when you ask that question, they need to basically be, drilling down on that, on the problem. So I don't know, and constantly building value. Look, it comes back to Apple and what I talked about their share price earlier. Like, are you going to spend your time on like, it scares me to death that Apple right now are spending this much time, on financial engineering, as opposed to building the next thing. And of course, there's, they're unbelievable at holding, secrets in and around Apple, and maybe they're going to launch the next thing that we don't know about. But I tell you, it's been a while since I've seen them launch a thing, and that's innovation should ultimately be driving value. When you think of innovation, think of solving a problem at a higher level. And I don't know if they're doing that. So, it's kind of, it can be boring and unexciting and that sort of thing. But bottom line is that's the secret, right? You got to build the thing. So getting a leader to step aside, look, I don't know. I'll tell you this, when I used to play hockey, one of the things I do, like I was a pretty good hockey player and I'm small and feisty. I was normally captain or assistant captain, right? Like there's not many hockey teams I've ever played on in my entire life where I wasn't a captain or assistant. I don't know that I was that good, but I think when I got out there, I went 100 miles an hour and you'd always get my best. I feel comfortable saying that. I hope that doesn't sound overconfident in any way, shape or form. But what I would do is I was pretty much just a captain when I showed up. So I stopped. I'd actually take the C off my chest and I put it on somebody else's. And the whole idea behind it was that I knew that I was going to show up. So I wanted somebody else to have that responsibility and I wanted them to step up because at the end of the day, what did I want? I wanted to win, right? I didn't give a rat's backside about who was going to lift the trophy at the end of the year. What I wanted to know is that, I had the best, we won. So, okay, what am I saying? I think that you could position it in such a way that it's not like the leader needs to step down. It's that, at the end of the day, man, complimenting them, you want to make it their idea, butter them up that, look, you're the leader, you're the person that's been tasked with this. And, sometimes the best way to grow is to share that responsibility around and let's see if someone else can do it. Like in politics, a lot of the time, there's reason why there's a limit on the terms, which by the way, that could be the worst example ever because I think it works horrifically. But the bottom line is that they only allow you to serve for a certain period of time, and it was with that in mind. So that might be an approach that you could take that, you're always going to show up. Why don't we get somebody else to step into this role and see if they can step it up and they can provide some leadership and let's see where that goes. But I do agree that you've got a bit of a sticky situation there. And, you're going to have to tread, with pretty strategically in order to get that done. But I like the way they're thinking, Road Dog. Like, again, like when you're going into a coaching, a business and your opinion is that the leader needs to step down. I feel like this is a pretty good coach. This is somebody thinking at a pretty high level. So that's a good thing. There you go, bud.
So yeah, but it's making it their idea, right? It's shifting them off of the ego of themselves.
Yeah. I think that's the only, and again, Road Dog, we'd be kidding ourselves, right, to say that this isn't a sticky one, but there you go, man. That's the best answer I could think of, buddy. I don't know how good it is. There you go.
Yeah, no, that's beauty. That's beauty. But again, that's the thing. We all get placed in these tough situations at times, and we got to try and navigate as best we can. But hey, listen, just to sort of close out here, because I know we're sort of running up against the clock here, but like, can you close us out like with like, what's the one thing that somebody could take from today's show and implement into their business today?
The one thing. So I think the judgment thing that we went on there, you've got to stop judging so that you will stop feeling judged. So it's kind of like, again, we talked about this a couple times, I think over the last few weeks, but like, it's about less, not more. You know what I mean? You just you are perfect. Like, that old, like there's Buddha, and he's got mud all over him, and all they do is they chip away, chip away, chip away, chip away, chip away, chip away, and then you've got this beautiful, amazing Buddha, and they didn't do anything. They didn't create anything. They didn't sculpt anything. All they did was chip away at all the mud. I feel like when you think about business owners, when you're working with these guys, going to them and playing addition versus subtraction is a horrific idea. Like, look at it differently. I don't need to meet the business owner to know that he's either or she is almost overwhelmed or well and truly on their way, right? Like they're not lacking ideas. They're not lacking things to think about. They're not lacking things that they could potentially do or quite frankly advice because everybody's coming at them, including, their mom, sister, brother, and auntie, right? So when you show up to that business owner and you start automatically adding, I think that's probably a bad roadmap. So solution is what? I think go to your coaching client and you got to be thinking subtraction immediately. And actually, as I say this, Rhoda, here's important. There's two things here. One is closing the coaching client. And then secondly is coaching the coaching client. Don't show up to a coaching client or prospect and try sell them on the fact that what you're going to do is chip away on all this stuff, right? Like, we're going to play subtraction. I'm going to get you to less, and I'm going to get you to be less judgmental so that you won't feel judged, right? That's when you sell them, and this is why we built software, quite frankly, this is all built into it. But when you sell them, your job is to sell them on growing their business, making more money, building a killer marketing system, getting that funnel in place, getting that advertising campaign in place. Remember, people buy new, they don't buy improvement. Okay, so when I drive traffic on the internet, the worst offer I can make is improvement, and then the best offer I can make is new. Okay, so what am I saying? When you're selling the coaching client, you have to sell them on new and what in their head, what they want. And then now when I'm coaching them, now they've made the commitment, they're paying you $2,000 a month, and you've started. This is when you go into subtraction mode, not through the sales process. And I've seen that been screwed up royally. So you got to be careful with that one. But no, hopefully everybody gets that. So just, if you want to encapsulate what I just said, needs and wants, you sell people what they want and then deliver what they need. But you must sell them what they want and hold off on what they need until the paperwork is signed and they're ready to go. Because if I go to a business owner and I tell them that I'm going to make them all this money by looking at their credit card statements and looking at their expenses and just bringing them back, what do you think they're going to say to themselves? Oh, I could just do that myself, right? So you got to be careful to give that away too early. But once you start paying me, this is where I start. And then I explain to you the magic of, like if a business owner has 25% margins and you make them $1, that's 25 cents that they keep. But when I go to their credit card statements and I go to their expenses and I save them $1, how much do they keep? And the answer is $1. So with my coaching, if I'm $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year, the benchmark, the starting line is always that I want to be able to create the $24,000 as quickly as possible, because now we're just playing with house money. So Road Dog, a little bit of a rabbit hole there, bud, but subtraction versus addition is what I would say there. And just if you want to stop feeling judged, stop being judgmental. It's a universal principle. The world is just a mirror. But I think that's a powerful one, bud. So that's what I'd say, my man.
You always talk about the new is always more sexy and appealing as well on the sale, right? Like, I've heard you say that. I can't even count how many times. Like, that is your
100%.
go-to.
New again. So in your spidey senses, they are thinking new. Like, they want a new website, they want a new financial model, they want a new salesperson, they want a new sales process, they want a new turnkey marketing program, they want new profitability, they want a new team, they want new psychology, a new purpose, a new mission. You know what I mean? New. Don't be careful to talk improvement, always talking in new. But now, once you're delivering it, once you're coaching them, this is where the fundamentals come out. And you get to, again, it's the fundamentals, it's the basics, right? So there you go. In fact, Road Dog, when I used to do hockey schools, right? So guess what I called my hockey schools? I called them goal scoring schools, right? So what do kids want? What do they say to them? What do their parents think? What do the moms think? What do the kids talk about? If you know my way, I play hockey. I'm the worst defensive player of all time, right? I couldn't play defense in my life. Mattered. What am I trying to say? You get it. Goal scoring schools, right? I would get them there with goal scoring schools, but guess what I taught them? I taught them how to skate and taught them how to get lower to the ground. You want to score? You got to get lower to the ground so you can shoot significantly harder than the other guy. I don't care if you're 5'6" or 6'8", the exact same thing. The power in your shot will come from your butt, not from you. And there's other that comes into it, but this is where the bulk of it comes. So the lower I get your butt, the harder your shot's going to be. The end. Well, if you want to score goals, guess what? You got to be able to shoot harder than the other guys, right? You got to shoot before the goalie can move. So I called it goal scoring school because that's what they wanted. And then I taught them the basics of hockey, including some defense, by the way, for anybody listening. So yeah, that's it. So you sell them what they want, and then you deliver what they need. You got to make it sound sexy. So there you go, bud.
And nothing about, nothing makes more sense than learning to get lower to the ground than a guy that's already halfway.
Nobody's lower to the ground than I, bro. Don't you know that? You know that.
You know what? Like, seriously, with skates, what are you, 5'3"? Like, all right. On that note, we want to thank everybody for tuning to another great episode of Business Coaching Secrets. with the man on top of the hill and on top of his skates, my boy King Karl. Again, if you're not getting Karl's daily emails or you want more information on how to build your coaching company, visit focused.com. Again, focused with an ED at the end, not at all implementing or saying anything about Karl. Go there and subscribe today. Also, if you enjoy this podcast, please share with an existing coach or someone that you think would make a great coach, someone who loves Tony Robbins, or just a great salesperson, or just a highly motivated type. And of course, always, we'd appreciate it if you'd rate this episode, as we know that iTunes and Spotify give an insane amount of weight towards reviews. So please leave us a review if you like what you heard. Well, that's it for another week, folks. And remember, progress equals happiness. Take care, everybody.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.